Fact 50. A vertical ocean of mountains. Along Canada's Pacific edge, the Cordilleran region unfolds as a dense, chaotic system of mountain belts stretching nearly 800 kilometers wide. Many slopes are so steep that trees simply cannot take root, leaving raw rock faces exposed year-round. From the air, the region looks less like land and more like a frozen ocean, parallel ridges rising and falling in north-south alignment, the result of relentless tectonic compression along the Pacific Plate. The sharp angles and towering relief signal geological youth, making these mountains far younger and more volatile than Canada's eastern ranges. Fact 49. Canada's youngest giants. The Cordilleran mountain belts contain peaks that regularly exceed 3,000 meters in elevation, with jagged silhouettes that betray their relative youth. Unlike the rounded, eroded Appalachians, these mountains are still being actively shaped by tectonic uplift, earthquakes, and glacial carving. Their sharpness is geological evidence of ongoing continental collision, placing Western Canada among the most dynamically evolving landscapes on Earth. Fact 48. The Black Earth of the Red River Valley. Southern Manitoba's Red River Valley is one of the most fertile regions in the country, blanketed by thick layers of black clay and silt. These soils were deposited by glacial Lake Agassiz, a massive meltwater lake that once covered much of central North America. The result is flat, nutrient-rich farmland capable of sustaining intensive agriculture, making it one of Canada's most productive breadbaskets. Fact 47. The flattest land in interior Canada. The Manitoba lowland sits almost unnervingly flat, with elevations rarely exceeding 300 meters. Beneath it lie lacustrine sediments left behind by Lake Agassiz, forming one of the smoothest landscapes on the continent. The absence of relief makes drainage slow and flooding frequent, but it also creates ideal conditions for large-scale farming and settlement. Fact 46. Lowlands. That encircle ancient rock. Surrounding the Canadian Shield are extensive lowland regions underlain by sedimentary rock. These include the Arctic lowlands to the north, the Great Lakes St. Lawrence lowlands to the south and southeast, and the interior plains to the west. Each zone represents ancient seabeds and river systems laid down long after the Shield itself formed, creating stark geological contrasts across the country. Fact 45. A landscape flattened by ice. Most of the Canadian Shield sits below 600 meters in elevation, lacking dramatic hills or peaks. Its surface appears monotonous at first glance, but this uniformity is deceptive. Repeated glaciations scraped the land bare, carving basins that later filled with water. The result is a pockmarked terrain riddled with lakes, thin soils, and exposed bedrock. Fact 44. A broken geological basin. The Canadian Shield forms a massive basin whose western rim rises higher and more steeply than its eastern edge. In some regions, particularly the far northwest and the south, entire sections of the rim are missing, erased by erosion and tectonic activity. This uneven structure influences drainage patterns across much of the continent. Fact 43. A global shortcut through the sky. Canada occupies a critical position along Great Circle routes, the shortest possible flight paths between major global hubs. Flights between the United States and Europe, and increasingly between Asia and North America, routinely pass over Canadian airspace. This geographic reality has made Canada strategically vital for global aviation and defense logistics. Fact 42. Metal beneath the Shield. Northern Ontario and Manitoba contain rich deposits of nickel and copper, metals essential for modern industry and electronics. Meanwhile, iron and coal have historically powered the economies of Atlantic Canada. These mineral resources are deeply tied to the ancient geological foundations of the Shield and surrounding sedimentary basins. Fact 41. The Hybrid Bear Zone. Churchill, Manitoba is one of the few places where polar bear and grizzly territories overlap. As climate change pushes grizzlies north and polar bears inland, they are interbreeding to create growler bears, or pizzlies. These fertile hybrids challenge our understanding of species boundaries, turning the Canadian Arctic into a living laboratory for climate-driven evolution. Fact 40. Provinces bigger than countries. Canada's provinces and territories rank among the largest political subdivisions on Earth, often exceeding the size of entire nations. Despite this scale, population densities remain among the lowest globally, producing a country where immense distances separate relatively small pockets of people. Quick pause. If this surprised you, subscribe. There's a lot more like this coming. Fact 39. A controversial mineral legacy. Canada has long been one of the world's most active producers of asbestos, particularly in Quebec. Once prized for its insulating properties, asbestos is now recognized as a carcinogen that causes serious respiratory diseases and cancer. Its legacy reflects a period when industrial demand outpaced understanding of long-term health consequences. Fact 38. A mining powerhouse. Canada is a leading global producer of zinc, while Saskatchewan dominates uranium and potash extraction. These materials are essential for energy production, agriculture, and manufacturing, reinforcing Canada's role as a foundational supplier to the global economy. Fact 37. The Crown Land Mystery. An incredible 89% of Canada is Crown land, owned by the government rather than private citizens. In British Columbia, that number jumps to 94%. This makes Canada one of the least privately owned nations in the developed world. This unique legal structure means the state, not individuals, controls the vast majority of the country's wilderness and resources. Fact 36. Energy beneath the prairies. Beyond agriculture, Alberta's vast oil and natural gas deposits have transformed Canada into a major energy producer. These resources lie beneath what appears, at the surface, to be ordinary prairie land, an invisible engine driving national prosperity. Fact 35. Extreme light and darkness. Northern Canada experiences some of the most extreme seasonal light cycles on Earth. Summers bring up to 24 hours of sunlight, while winter plunges the region into near-total darkness. Despite this, pockets of warmth and greenery emerge during short growing seasons where human settlements exist. Fact 34. Storms born from dry air. The prairie provinces receive relatively little rainfall, but dry air can intensify thunderstorms and tornadoes. Fast-moving systems known as Alberta clippers can produce sudden, violent weather despite the region's overall aridity. Fact 33. The empty vastness of Labrador. Though politically part of Newfoundland and Labrador, Labrador is a distinct geographic territory. It is sparsely populated, rugged, and dominated by the Torngat Mountains, the tallest range in eastern Canada. Its isolation and harsh climate make it one of the country's least inhabited regions. Fact 32. Canada's eastern fringe. The Appalachian region encompasses Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. These provinces sit on ancient, heavily eroded mountains and extend into the Atlantic as islands and peninsulas, shaped by waves, ice, and time. Fact 31. Central Canada's dual personality. Central Canada transitions from lush, deciduous forests and rolling hills in the south to barren, rocky terrain in the north. This contrast reflects the meeting point between fertile lowlands and the exposed bedrock of the Canadian Shield. Fact 30. The prairie flattening. West of the Rockies, the land abruptly levels into the prairie provinces of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. These vast plains contain some of the driest, least forested regions in the country, defined by agriculture and open horizons. Fact 29. Fossils of the Coal Age. The Joggins fossil cliffs preserve the most complete record of Carboniferous life on Earth. Dating back over 300 million years, the site includes the earliest known reptile fossil and is cited in Darwin's On the Origin of Species. Fact 28. A capital that competes with major northern cities. Ottawa is one of the coldest capital cities among major industrialized nations. January averages dip below -14 degrees Celsius, placing it in competition with cities like Moscow for winter severity among world capitals. Those cities like Ulaanbaatar and Astana experience even harsher conditions. Fact 27. France on Canada's doorstep. Saint-Pierre and Miquelon sits just 25 kilometers off Newfoundland, yet remains fully French. It uses the euro, follows French law, and speaks metropolitan French, making it a geopolitical anomaly in North America. Fact 26. Canada's floating lake. Little Manitou Lake is so saline that swimmers cannot sink. Fed by underground mineral springs, its waters rival the Dead Sea in density, earning it the nickname the Dead Sea of Canada. Fact 25. The Frank Slide. In 1903, Turtle Mountain collapsed without warning, sending 110 million tons of limestone into the town of Frank, Alberta. Indigenous peoples had long warned that the mountain was unstable, and mining may have accelerated the disaster. If you made it this far, you're definitely in the right place. Like the video, subscribe. Fact 24. A lake that crystallizes. Spotted Lake transforms each summer as evaporation reveals mineral-rich pools ringed in white. Magnesium sulfate and calcium deposits create vibrant yellow and green circles visible from afar. Fact 23. Canada's not a desert. The Carcross Desert in Yukon isn't a desert at all, but a remnant of a glacial lake. Surrounded by mountains, its dunes remain dry year-round despite the northern latitude. Fact 22. Hills that burn. The smoking hills have smoldered for centuries due to sulfur-rich oil shales igniting when exposed to oxygen. The phenomenon produces smoke and heat without volcanic activity, releasing acidic fumes and staining surrounding rock in vivid yellow and red tones. Fact 21. The world's tallest vertical drop. Mount Thor features a sheer vertical face plunging 1.25 kilometers straight down. Named after the Norse god, it represents one of the most extreme cliff faces on Earth, with near vertical granite walls that challenge even elite climbers. Fact 20. A scar from space. The Manicouagan crater in Quebec spans 100 kilometers and dates back 214 million years. Formed by a massive asteroid or comet, it remains one of Earth's oldest preserved impact structures. Fact 19. The island that caused a dispute. Hans Island sits directly on the maritime boundary between Canada and Greenland. Barren and uninhabited, it became symbolic of a long-running territorial disagreement. Fact 18. The longest peaceful border. The Canada-US border stretches 8,893 kilometers, making it the longest international border between two countries and largely unguarded. Fact 17. The world's oldest pool of water. Deep beneath Timmins, Ontario, scientists uncovered a reservoir of water so ancient it predates the dinosaurs by nearly 2 billion years. In 2016, researchers from the University of Toronto discovered this hidden pool within the Kidd Creek mine, trapped far below the Earth's surface. Isolated from sunlight, the water has remained undisturbed for approximately 2 billion years. Fact 16. A 41 degrees Celsius temperature swing in 1 hour. Canada holds the record for one of the most extreme temperature changes ever recorded. In Pincher Creek, Alberta, temperatures jumped from minus 19 degrees Celsius to 22 degrees Celsius in just 1 hour. This dramatic change was caused by Chinook winds that descend the eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains. Known locally as the Ice Eater, these winds can rapidly erase winter conditions, transforming frigid days into spring-like warmth almost instantly. Fact 15. The maple syrup monopoly. Canada produces 71% of the world's maple syrup, and Quebec treats it like liquid gold. The province maintains a global strategic maple syrup reserve to control prices, much like an OPEC-style cartel. This reserve was the site of the 2012 Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist, where thieves stole $18 million worth of syrup by replacing it with water. Fact 14. National parks bigger than countries. Canada is home to national parks so vast that they rival entire nations in size. Wood Buffalo National Park, spanning Alberta and the Northwest Territories, covers roughly 44,000 square kilometers, larger than Denmark and Switzerland combined. Nahanni National Park Reserve stretches over 30,000 square kilometers in the Northwest Territories. It is larger than the country of Israel and has deep canyons, towering waterfalls, and natural hot springs. Fact 13. Canada's only officially bilingual province. Despite common assumptions, Quebec is not Canada's only officially bilingual province. That distinction belongs to New Brunswick, where both English and French hold equal legal status. About 1/3 of the population speaks French, making the province a cultural and linguistic bridge between Canada's two founding language groups. Fact 12. The St. Lawrence Estuary. The St. Lawrence Estuary is one of the largest and deepest estuaries in the world, where fresh water from the Great Lakes gradually mixes with salt water from the Atlantic Ocean. Stretching nearly 250 kilometers, the St. Lawrence Estuary begins near Ile d'Orléans by Quebec City and extends northeast toward Pointe-de-Mont. Fact 11. Canada is almost as tall as it is wide. Canada spans one of the widest latitude ranges on the planet. From north to south, the country stretches approximately 4,634 kilometers, while east to west it spans about 5,514 kilometers. Its southernmost point aligns with the latitude of Northern California, while its northern edge reaches deep into the Arctic, closer to the North Pole than many people realize. This immense vertical range contributes to Canada's extreme climate diversity. Fact 10. The world's longest recreational trail network. The Trans-Canada Trail, also known as the Great Trail, is the longest recreational trail network in the world. Stretching over 28,000 kilometers, it connects all 10 provinces and 3 territories, reaching from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific and deep into the Arctic. The trail is a vast mosaic of hiking paths, bike routes, rail trails, waterways, and ski routes that pass through cities, forests, mountains, and coastlines. Fact 9. The Land of Pingos. The Mackenzie Delta region in the Northwest Territories contains the largest concentration of pingos in the world, with approximately 1,350 of these rare ice-cored hills. The tallest of them, Ibiuk Pingo, rises 49 meters above the surrounding landscape. Pingos form only in permafrost regions, where underground water freezes and expands, forcing the ground upward into cone-shaped mounds. These unique features are a defining symbol of Canada's Arctic terrain. Fact 8. The longest freshwater beach. Wasaga Beach, located along the shores of Georgian Bay on Lake Huron, is the longest freshwater beach in the world. It stretches roughly 14 kilometers, or about 8.6 miles, of continuous sandy shoreline. This expansive beach offers ample space for swimming, sunbathing, and recreation, making it one of Canada's most popular summer destinations. Fact 7. The heart of North America. The city of Regina, Saskatchewan, lies closest to the geographical center of North America. Positioned at approximately 50 degrees 26 minutes north latitude and 104 degrees 37 minutes west longitude, Regina sits near the midpoint of the continent's landmass. This unique location has earned it the reputation of being the heart of North America. Fact 6. Canada's longest one-word place name. Manitoba is home to Canada's longest one-word place name, Pequotchnamekoskwaskwe-Pinwanik Lake, a 31-letter name derived from the Cree language. It translates to, where the wild trout are caught by fishing with hooks. While locals often shorten it to Fishing Lake, correctly pronouncing the full name is considered an accomplishment in itself. Fact 5. The foggiest place on Earth. Off the coast of Newfoundland lies the Grand Banks, widely recognized as the foggiest place in the world. This region is shrouded in fog for much of the year, with roughly 40% fog cover in winter and as much as 84% during summer months. The persistent mist forms where the cold Labrador Current collides with the warm Gulf Stream, creating ideal conditions for dense fog. Fact 4. Tides that reverse rivers. The Bay of Fundy, located on Canada's east coast, experiences the highest tides on Earth. Water levels rise and fall by as much as 16.8 meters, or 54.6 feet, each day, roughly the height of a 4 to 5-story building. These immense tides are powerful enough to temporarily reverse the flow of the St. John River in New Brunswick. At high tide, seawater pushes upstream, creating the famous reversing falls, where currents stall, collide, and form dramatic rapids and whirlpools. Fact 3. The earthquake supergiant. The Cascadia subduction zone off the coast of BC can produce magnitude 9.0 plus megaquakes. The fault last ruptured in 1700, sending a tsunami all the way to Japan. Because these quakes occur every 300 to 500 years, the region is now in the historical window for a repeat that could devastate Vancouver, Victoria, and Seattle simultaneously. Fact 2. The biological superpower. Canada is a hydrological giant containing 24% of the world's wetlands and more lakes than the rest of the world combined. Its vast peatlands store 150 billion tons of carbon, the equivalent of 25 years of global emissions. With 7% of the world's renewable freshwater, Canada holds the resources that will define 21st century geopolitics. Fact 1. The world's first UFO landing pad. The town of St. Paul, Alberta, made a bold and playful statement by building the world's first UFO landing pad. Constructed during Canada's centennial celebrations, the UFO-shaped platform symbolized the town's humorous claim that everyone was welcome, even extraterrestrials. Today, it remains a quirky landmark reflecting St. Paul's creativity and lighthearted spirit. Thanks for watching. If you want more videos like this, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next deep dive.